Welcome to
Matteo.
Roots and Reflections, Buon Natale, with me, Bob Sorrentino, and my co-host, Michael Cavalieri, and our panel authors, Eileen and Gary Modica, Dorina Lantella from Dorina's Kitchen, and Andrew and Jerry Sadler. And we're going to talk about Christmas traditions in the U.S. and England and Italy. So welcome, everyone. It's great to see everybody.
Wait, there's actually a Christmas in England? I don't understand.
Henry did not get rid of Christmas. He just did the Romans.
Give me the celebration dinner in England for Christmas.
Much the same as we gave to you guys that
What?
you inherited from us.
I inherited from you.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
Okay.
Lasagna.
Let's say turkeys don't vote for it.
Uh,
Oh, well, you know, that was one
Not
of the things
interested in turkey.
I wanted to ask Jerry and Andy, though, because their dad was...
Jerry, where are you going?
English.
Jerry, you checking the score? You got to stay here. If you're going to go check the
He's
score.
checking the score.
no,
You
I'm
can
not
be
sure.
sure.
Jerry,
I,
come on.
Their-
It's the main night off.
The dad was English and their mom was Italian. So growing up, did you
So you're
guys
not
have
even
an English
full. You're
Christmas
not
or an
even, wait, hold
Italian
on.
Christmas?
Andrew, Jerry, you're not even full. Wait, hold on a second. English and Italian? Wait, you're not a full? Not? No?
I always tell people when they ask me, I say I'm half Italian. They say, oh, which half? I say from the waist down.
That's a pretty good Italian for sure.
We we did have English Christmases, really. Andy will remember this.
So share that. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Share that. English
But
Christmas.
You guys would all know an American one, so I don't know what an American Christmas is.
Much the same as an American. The only thing I think that was we didn't have fish on Christmas Eve, anything like that. Very much traditional English Christmas, much like you guys have, which is the main thing is the presents in the morning normally, and then the Christmas turkey, and everyone overindulges in the afternoon, and then we have Boxing Day. I'm sure you know what Boxing Day is. If not, we'll explain what Boxing Day is. But the only thing we inherited, I think, from Italy would have been the religious side of it, and that would have been dominated by midnight mass with all the drunks
Exactly.
on Christmas Eve. I remember that very well. All the Irish drunks in the back of the church. I remember that.
That's funny. So
Yes.
yeah. Did you do the same? Did you go to midnight mass? Did you do that with your family, or was that part of your tradition?
Well, we either did midnight mass or we did that earlier evening mass, depending on what age we were. You know, as we got older, we could do the midnight. You know, they always had that. I remember they used to have a, I guess it was like the family mass, the kid mass earlier on Christmas Eve, so that we could, you know, get home so mom and, you know, Santa Claus could have time to wrap presents. You know?
Right. That's
But
interesting.
you're obviously very young because that was allowed in more recent times.
Oh, thank you.
You are, obviously, because in our time, not only did we have to have 3 hours before we could have communion, we also could not satisfy the obligation of Mass, be it an holy day of obligation or Sunday, unless it was the day.
No,
Hence midnight.
Was the day.
the eve
Midnight
before.
was the day.
That's why you can go to 6 o'clock mass on a Saturday and it counts for Sunday.
Now, but
Now.
not back in
Not
the day.
Not then.
Not then.
Okay.
Not
Well,
before Vatican II and some years after.
Okay.
I stopped going to midnight mass a few years ago. I think it really happened that time that I went to midnight mass and I suddenly collapsed on the seat because I fell asleep standing up. But I had got back from work at 11 o'clock at night. I
Right.
think that was part of the reason. But I sort of stopped myself and managed to sit down. And well, that's like you. I go to the 5:30 on the Saturday.
We used to say we were going to midnight mass and then go to the diner or to someplace else.
Never to
Oh,
the
right.
diner. My grandfather used to take me. No, never to the diner. Grandfather used to go with me to take me home, and then we'd open gifts, and we'd actually eat and do the whole thing at 12 o'clock. So after 12.
So, Bob,
So-
in my town in Italy, what we do there is the big deal is that there's a big procession before midnight mass. So the whole town is up. So there's not like a question of do you go to mass and is there there's
Exactly.
only one. And
Exactly.
what they do is they have big torches that they get some of the young men from town will carry the torches and they do this whole procession around town. The torches are in remembrance of the days when there were no lights, and they would take the torches out to the edges of town and they would lead people to the church. So now they do it just around, the main part of town. Now it's more, we have lights, but it's a beautiful tradition that they still do even today.
Dorina, what town is this? What town are you in?
Reminds me.
Roseto Val Fortore. It's a province of Foggia in Puglia.
My wife's from Mola de Bari.
Okay. Nice, Daddy.
I'm a little higher up. I'm in the very top of Puglia, but
Puglia is beautiful. Puglia is a beautiful place. Yeah,
it is.
I just remember
we weren't there for Christmas.
About midnight mass, which was rather good. Talking about traditions, that when you come out of midnight mass, you get mulled wine.
No, I think they just go to the bar and get a Amaro del Campo or something.
The priest would provide mulled wine after mass. You go out into the cold and drink this warm wine.
I need to hear Gary tell me about his event. Gary, what was that you saying? Somewhere on New Year's Eve?
No, we didn't get to
Hang on,
Christmas in Puglia.
Michael, when you speak, I can hardly hear you.
The procession was phenomenal
in
Conversano.
My friend is from Conversano. A very dear friend of mine is from Conversano. I've been there many times.
Beautiful little town.
Beautiful little place, Conversano. Very, very beautiful. Have two good friends there. We spent a lot of time there. Very nice there. Very, very beautiful. I'm curious about Dorina. You have your Christmas Eve meal. Tell me about what you do and how you prepare, just as an example for us.
So I grew up, we did do the fish or seafood or something for Christmas, but we didn't do that 7 fishes thing. And I never really heard about that. I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area, and I never really heard about that until I got to Jersey, where, all the Italian traditions are. But then I've also learned that, the 7 fishes is Italian-American. It's not Italian-Italian.
Yeah.
So there was a couple years I did the 7 and,
A bit like spaghetti and meatballs. You won't get that in Italy.
No, not Christmas Eve. Yeah, that too, though. You don't get that in Italy.
Could it be said, though? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Could it be said that a little of the 7 fishes is kind of dragged in from Italian tradition, or the fish and whatever, they just kind of made their own little,
Because I'm a food person, I did do some I tried researching the whys and wherefores, and there's so many stories out there as to why there's the 7. Right. And I said, you know what? There's a certain few dishes that we always love that I make, and the other ones were just like, okay, let's throw something else in there to, make a tuna salad or whatever, just to make it 7. I'm like, I don't need to do that. I did it like once or twice. I'm like, I don't need to do that. Right. One of my favorite dishes. Should I share it?
Sure.
Please.
I get this orange orecchiette from the Gargano. So the Gargano is the spur of the boot. Every time I go out there, I buy this orange. It's made with orange, so it's got the orange essence in it. And it's so beautiful, bright orange. And I saute shrimp in some garlic and olive oil, and then a little bit of white wine, a little bit of fresh squeezed orange juice. You toss the pasta in there, and at the end, you throw in some arugula, or rucola, as they would say in Italy. And it is this bright orange and bright green colors. It is so beautiful. It is so tasty. It's very fresh. And of course, it's always pasta from Italy, so it's always good.
It sounds great. It sounds great. That's a great one.
It's a good one. And it's,
my wife needs to learn this one.
All right. I'll show it to you.
Please.
I don't think I've done a video on that one yet, but
you need to do a video on that. That sounds great. So wait a minute. So there's different, I guess, if somebody could change, Eileen, maybe there's obviously different regions of Italy have different, Christmas Eve dinners or Christmas Eve preparations. So who can give us an education on this? Because I know what I did, but there's an education maybe from different regions that people know. Why don't you give us a little...
When we were in Rome in 2018, we went to a very nice restaurant that we frequent before, and they did have the 7 fishes, and actually we had not.
Really?
But it's always a number. Odd
That's
numbers
interesting.
And the fish is really meant to have on Christmas Eve to purify the body before the celebration, and that's what we learned about it.
Most Italians won't have beef, pork, whatever on Christmas Eve. That's the day for fish.
No, Christmas Day is for meat.
Meat, yes.
Yeah, Christmas Day.
I don't know that we have a traditional restaurant in Lucca that does any 7 fishes.
No.
Haven't had that yet.
But was that restaurant, for the touristy restaurant, or was that like an authentic? Because then maybe they're catering it towards
it was. It was authentic. Great. We still frequent the place today when we go to Rome.
Andrew, what do you got for me? So what was your?
Well,
what was your...
as I said, Jerry and I grew up in very traditional English, which is so similar to your own in America. So
Right.
it was Mum used to spend the morning, bit unlike today where we go to a local hotel. Mum used to spend the morning preparing all the veg that Dad had grown in the garden. I remember it being very exciting. We didn't really get a lot in way of gifts, not like today, but the house, I remember, was always warm on Christmas Day. I don't know why. Dad must have put an extra shilling in the meter or something, but
Or maybe
Okay,
it was,
I got to stop you there. You have to explain the shilling in the meter.
well, not that we had a meter, but it's an expression that, England, of how you see it, with the fog and the smog and the bobby on the beat and the double-decker, bus. The Englanders used to see it. So back in the day, people used to pay for their electricity with meters, and a shilling
it was the gas meters that had the shillings. Electricity wasn't.
And a shilling was basically about it's 5 pence,
5
which
pence.
is 10, not even that, 7 cents.
Wow.
And that used to last for some time. And it's just an expression we use, shilling in the meter. But yeah, the house was always, I'd come down, I'd be the first downstairs, and I'd go into what we called the big room. Dad would have locked it, but he always put the key up on the rail where the paintings would be hung from. So I'd always find the key, and I'd go in and look at the presents. Obviously not allowed to open them. And on one occasion, I must have been about 7 or 8, I had a set of toy drums, which to this day I can remember enjoying. And my mum always used to tell me how Dad was against buying it and spending the money. It was probably about $5, but I remember it well. So yeah, my memory is coming downstairs on my own and creeping into the room and trying to get my brother to wake up and join us because he would just stay asleep.
did
But
remember
he
that.
is substantially older than me, so that would explain it.
I would never think that, for God's sakes. I would never think that.
Tell
He
you
looks
what,
so young.
you remember how you got your presents?
I remember
Do
your
you remember
present.
what you had to do?
No, I don't. But I remember a present from you that, like the drum kit, stuck in my memory. You don't remember, do you?
No. Go
It
on.
was 1964, so that might give you a clue.
Well, I was
We
15.
weren't here
right?
yet.
It was a black and white photo of the Fab Four.
That's it.
Bob,
It
can we
was a
get
black
some?
and white. It was a black and white poster of the Beatles, who I was insane about.
You were insane. Yeah, I wasn't too much. No, what we had to do to get our presents, we had to walk up to the tree, take a present, see who it was for, and take it to them.
That's right.
Yeah, we used to do that. We used to do
We
that.
had to do that. So I would go up, find one. Well, for Dad, so I'd take it to Dad. You'd go up, find one. For me,
And
you
this will
take.
make you all laugh. We weren't allowed to tear the paper.
Oh yes,
We had to be very careful in how we unwrap the presents, because Dad would then iron the paper and put it back in the loft for the following year.
My dear.
I kid you not.
I'm
No,
sorry.
very
I'm sorry,
strange.
Andrew.
I saved some big pieces of wrapping paper over my years. I have 6 kids, so
Wow.
we
Wow.
had one of them would go sit. They took turns, but one of them would go sit by the tree and be the distributor. They'd pick up gifts and say, "Okay,
Yeah.
this one's for you. This one's for you." And inevitably, the way they would get piled, somebody wouldn't get one for they'd hand out 5 gifts, and then what about me? And then finally they'd have to dig and find one for that brother.
Yeah.
So
My parents never threw anything away, and I can remember the decorations on the tree. 2 things I remember about the decorations. One upsets me to this day. One was that the decorations came from another era. They were actual candles, actual little clips with candles in them. Can you imagine lighting a candle on a Christmas tree? Nuts. He never lit them, no, but they had been lit before because there was wax that would drip down the side. So that was one. The other thing that really upset me was that they had about 7 or 8 decorations that were chocolate figures wrapped in foil. Yeah? Little decorations. But you weren't allowed to eat them. You weren't allowed to eat them. They had to go back in the loft for the following year.
We'll be right back.
Experience Italy like never before, traveling with a scheduled group or create your own bespoke tour with friends with philitaly.co. Pack your bags and follow Phil. That's www.philitaly.co.
Wow. Wow.
So my Christmas actually would start on St. Nicholas Day because my father was a Nicholas. So we would get a stocking on that day with just some stuff in it and things like that. And then Christmas Eve, we were allowed to open up one present. My parents would go to my grandmother's house. We weren't allowed to go there until we could actually, I don't think I went there until I could drive. Christmas Day, same thing. I was always the first one up. I was always sitting around waiting for everybody to get there. But, Christmas Eve, they didn't have the 7 fishes per se, but they always had, because they were from Bari, they had the bacalao, which was, that made me so sick to my stomach. I hated that part. But Christmas Day, so for Jerry and we would start with Italian food and then work our way through a ham and a turkey and then have fruit and nuts and dessert. So we would start like maybe noon. And 6 o'clock, everything would be finished. And 6:30, my Aunt Mary would be asking everybody if they were hungry.
Yeah.
The sandwiches.
Yes.
Sandwiches, right? One thing that when I was very young, when we went to my father's family, we always got a small glass of wine with water. That was the one day we would get a glass of wine with water.
We got a sip of wine every night.
Yeah, but your parents were Italian, right?
Yeah.
I was second, so I had to wait for the grandparents to give it to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, my
Italians to give it to.
My father always had the gallon of wine.
I only got the wine when I came already with the parents, but that was talking about. We've already hit Christmas, but actually here in Italy, the presents come before Christmas. You've got 3 dates where you get presents. The 12th of December, which is St. Lucy, then the 25th of December, which is Christmas, and then you've got the 6th of January where kids get sweets. The Befana, the kindly witch. They either get sweets or they get coal. If they haven't been good boys, they get coal. So they make these sweets that look like coal. and those are given to kids on the 6th of January. So those are the 3 days. The 12th of December is very much in use in the Po Valley down Piacenza and across towards the Adriatic. I don't know about further south.
Stuff for San Nicola, for St. Nicholas, like you said, and then as well as Christmas and Befana. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same. Pretty much.
This is
Actually, Bob, as you mentioned my mother, I'll mention her just briefly. She's 107 looking down on us today.
Happy birthday.
Fantastic.
God bless you.
What's her name? Well, today.
Gianna Biagiotti was her maiden name.
Gemma. Her name is Gemma. She was known in England as Gianna because they found it difficult to say Gemma, which I found very strange because there are people in England called Gemma. There are English actresses called Gemma. But baptized name is Gemma.
I had the toughest time when we lived in England trying to teach the English language. It was very difficult to do.
Dangerous now, Robert. Dangerous. We were just in Orlando and we kept asking for butter and they just could not understand. And I said, well, if you pronounce your T's, you would understand.
So
butter. It's not butter, it's butter.
What parts of Italy are each of us from here?
Let's say butter from now on, wherever we are. Butter.
You got it.
Well, my family's from Sicily,
Boy, Gary.
But we're living in Lucca right
but
now.
we live in Lucca. See,
So
Gary,
the way
where-
south, living up north.
Gary,
North.
well, my grandfather's from a little town called Licodia Eubert, and my grandmother was from Francofonte,
Catania.
Catania. We all
Yeah.
Francofonte, Siracusa.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Our mother was from Florence, but I've
Northerners.
that's what we're up against. The Northerners and English. That's the same to me. That's what I'm saying. They're still putting the
But I-
Southerners
I spent the last
down.
16.5
This is my
years-
point.
between Milan and Como.
They tell you how to speak. They tell you what to do. They put you down. That's the difference. You see, that's what I'm saying.
Well, it gave my mother a career because for 50 years she taught Italians how to speak Italian.
Yes.
That was her job. And she did very well. And she gave us a standard of living that we would not have otherwise have had.
Right.
Because
So do you speak Italian?
me, not very well. No, obviously
Oh.
Jerry's 50 years there.
No, to be honest,
Why did you lie like normally? Yeah,
sorry.
that's all right. I love that
It's like-
expression, to be honest. It's as if
Okay.
you normally lie.
To be honest, the story is that when I was born, Mum wasn't too sure of her English, so she spoke to me in Italian. And when I was 5, I went to school and I heard a lot of Italian. When I was 5.5, Andy was born, so by then she spoke better English, and he didn't get the Italian that I got. I forgot it all, and then started going to evening classes when I was 13 because she was teaching, and sort of picked it up again. But I remember as a kid going to Italy, and not remembering Italian. I couldn't remember what an ice cream was. But after a few days, it came back to me.
Have you got time for a very funny story?
Go on.
Obviously, Andrew, if you must tell us, yes, we have time. Go ahead.
Well, I just for sibling rivalry, it's good fun.
Okay.
Right.
Jerry speaks obviously perfect Italian, and he learned Italian as he just explained many years ago. And he took what we call over here an O level, which is an exam that you take when you finish high school. So we've always referred to our grandparent. We only knew one as Nonna. She was always Nonna. Yeah. So people call them granddad, grandmother, whatever. But for us, our grandmother was always Nonna. Well,
That was not.
Jerry did an exam where he had to translate a passage from English to Italian, and he did it 99.9% correct. There's one word he didn't know in Italian, and that was grandmother.
I didn't know. I couldn't remember.
Boy, too much ice cream. Too much gelato.
It's weird. It's weird, you know.
Well, because it becomes her name.
It wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
When you're not in Italy, Nonna is almost her name as opposed to just grandmother, which over there, everybody has a Nonna. Over here, not everybody has a Nonna. So therefore, it's almost like that's her name. So my grandmother was Nonna. It was very hard for my mother to take on that name when that was her mother's name. You know? So it's interesting.
Makes sense. Yeah.
We had the English grandparents. My mother was an orphan, so we never knew them. It's probably because I was so used to calling my English grandmother Nonna. It slipped my mind, and I didn't think of it.
Funny. That
It
is
is
funny.
Yeah.
So
It is
my
funny.
mom's family is from Torito in Bari, and my dad's family they eventually lived in Naples, but my grandmother was born in Circola, and my grandfather was born in Pagani. And it took me 20 years to find out where my grandfather was, actually where they both were born, because they just said Naples. Campania, near outside of Naples, right outside of Naples. Pagani is actually Salerno, part of Salerno.
Yeah.
But I was always told that my father's parents were from Naples, and that's all they said, because that's, everybody generalizes that they're from Naples.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then they said he was from Caserta, and until I got his birth certificate, I found out where he was actually from. It was, pretty interesting.
Origin with Sorrento, mustn't.
Eventually, yeah, they the family did start in Sorrento, and I actually have a couple of cousins there, but not Sorrentino cousins, Piramalo cousins. So
Interesting.
Go figure.
Interesting.
What about you, Michael? What did you say?
Me, I have no idea where I'm from. I have no idea.
Seriously?
No, I did. My family's from Sicily, from Messina, a little town right there.
What's it called? Okay. One of my grandmothers was from a little town from Provincia di Messina also. So my
Which
mom's
one?
side is, it's called Naso.
Been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Nice.
So if you guys don't know anything about my history at all, I did a film about my grandfather and going to my roots in Lima, Sicily. A film called Ritornato, which was based on a true story. After my parents passed away and my sister passed away, I was kind of lost and confused and trying to figure out who I was. And I had done several films in Italy as an actor in Naples and such, Rome. But I had never been to Sicily, but I was very, very close to my grandfather who didn't speak one lick of English. But I spent many, many mornings with him in the garden in the summer in New York City. He was like my father. And I needed to go back to him. I needed to find him. I needed to talk to him. So I made a journey back home for the first time with my wife, Maria, and I went to his town. And what I found was an experience that was incredible. And I wrote a movie about it and won awards all over the world. And I feel very, very inspired when I talk to everybody here because we're all the same. We all love our roots. We all are passionate about our roots. This is why Bob and I started this podcast. So very proud to be here with everybody. So yeah, so my mother had 9 brothers and sisters. So when our Christmas was insane because there was almost 65 cousins, I remember, in a basement in Whitestone, Queens. And, it went on for a couple of days. So I have a very, very vivid memories of that. But also, to Andrew's point about your mom, my mom passed away 2 days after Christmas. So it's also a humbling celebration. It's also a painful celebration. That's why it's very, very important. Very important to always experience and to remember and to bring back. And I've been to Sicily 25 times. I've done 3 films there now on my own that I've directed. And I'm just really, really proud to be here, to do this, to meet people like you. It's a very humbling thing for me. So thank you all for being here. So that's my little story about where I'm from. And my wife is from Mola de Bari. We go to Puglia a lot. We love it there as well. And like I said, I have friends in Conversano. I have my friends coming from Piazza Marina this week to spend with me. My second film was about the sulfur mines in central Sicily, about slaves and the Carusi. So that was all in central Sicily. So I got a chance to really, really travel the country. And I've been to basically every town in Sicily with my film, teaching the children about the histories. I feel more connected there than I do here as an American, even though I don't, I think we all feel that way. I never felt like I fit in. I never felt the way, I don't look at the American way as the way I feel. So when Andrew says American, I don't even know what he's talking about, but that's not how that's not me. So maybe that's what people think. But the fabric of my life was Sicilian, Italian, from Europe. My grandfather walking me to school with my German Shepherd and a cigar in his mouth and a little cap and giving me a kiss on the cheek and a little brown bag with a little bit of prosciutto and a tomato and mozzarella. And that was my day. So I'm very proud of that. Very proud.
Yeah, I feel that for you. I was 10 years old and I asked a kid in my class, I said, "What are you?" And he said, "What do you mean? What am I?" I said, "I'm Italian. What are you?"
What are you?
He goes, "I'm American." I said, "Well, yeah, me too, but my family's Italian." And I said, "So what are you?" And he goes, "I don't know."
Exactly.
And I remember being 10 years old thinking, how does this guy not know who he is? It was so much a part of my life I went to preschool in Italy. I learned how to speak it as a small child. I've always spoken the dialect, and then I studied it more. So I speak pretty good Italian, really good dialect. Luckily, my dialect's very similar to a Napolitan dialect, so it takes me everywhere. But I since childhood, I had this connection. I wrote an essay when I was 9 years old about Dream of the Perfect Place. It was a page and a half of 9-year-old script, and at the end, I'm describing the village and the cobblestone streets and the people crocheting and making pasta, and at the end, I said, "There's nothing in this place I do not like." So, big statement for a 9-year-old kid. So to me, and that's why I do what I do today. So I do something that has become a thing in Italy. It's Turismo delle Radici, which is tourism of the roots. I bring people to my village. Now, some people who come to my village with me they're not from my town.
From your village, right.
Areas, but they get an idea because that lifestyle is pretty much what they still live, that we talk about that lifestyle. They still live it. Right. I mean, I've been on Bob's show before talking about a thing called the Rosetto effect.
I
I'm
know
not
it.
going to get too deep right now, but it's the phenomenon by which people live longer, healthier, happier lives by the way they live in community. And there's Rosetto, Pennsylvania, that's our sister town here that was settled by people from my town. So when they went, when I tell people, it started out doing trips, I started it as a culinary trip. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, who am I? Where am I from? I got so much more to share. And it became these Rosetto effect trips. Come learn how to cook, but come learn how to live. Because we do. I get up in the morning when I'm there. I walk on my balcony. Somebody's always walking by. Buongiorno. You get a nice greeting. It's not how are you. As soon as somebody says how are you, you're like, how am I? Crap, how am I? You know what I mean? It's like, but just buongiorno. And I love that, and I get more greetings. I get kisses every single day from somebody in town that's not my husband, somebody, and it's always two,
That's
and then
beautiful.
I come back, you accidentally go to kiss somebody twice, you kiss somebody on the lips back because they're not expecting it. So anyway.
No, it's a very beautiful. I took my son Matteo. He was 6 months old. I said we took him to Sicily and we brought him to my grandfather's house. And it took me a long time to get to my grandfather's house, but my son went at 6 months old. And then I took him to the cemetery to learn about who he was and put him in front of my great grandfather, my grandfather. Listen, we have it on video. He'll always have that video. He'll always have that life. The name of my .com is neverforgetyourroots.com. I've been doing Torre de Radici for years. Just in spirit, not as you are, but as it films and in life.
You should come with me.
I will, because Bob knows my history. I don't want to leave it like that. But the point is, everybody here, we're all the same. We have that little piece of us that's stuck in our past with our families, and it's a beautiful thing. And I think that what I've been able to do, and I've been very fortunate, I've spoken to over 10,000 kids all over the country of Italy, and spend time with my films and to show them and talk with them and to try to inspire them and also inspire our kids here to exchange. So what everybody's doing here is pushing towards that, reigniting that passion, that love for who we are. So I'm so proud to hear that. It makes me smile. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So
for everything you do.
Jerry, what brought you back so long ago, so many years ago?
Sorry, what?
What made you go back to Italy and stay?
No, as I said before, I grew up with Mum very little, being Italian. She did give me a brainwashing. She continually complained about living in England and the clouds, and she'd look out of the window and it was always cloudy.
I
wanted to go to Italy, and there was a point where honestly I would have gone to do any job possible. And, there's a funny story here. After a couple of jobs, I ended up in the dealing room in Citibank in London, and I was living in London. There are 7 of us in the apartment, and there was this ad in the paper that RP Martins wanted a broker in Milan. And the other guys in the apartment, a couple of them one was in the dealing room with me, and one was in another bank. Pushed me, go on, go for it. Now, I was on about £2,150 a year at the time. We're talking about 1974. And I went for the interview, and they had a bit of a chat, and then they said, "Oh, and how's your Italian?" And so I started talking Italian, because they said, "This Pepe here is our Italian expert." I started talking, and he said, yeah, that's enough. My Italian's not that good. So that they just took me on his word there, and they offered me a salary increase of £3,000 for a month in London, and then 12 million lira in Milan, which was about £8,000 then, compared to the 2,100 I was getting. Anyway, I went back to the flat. I was walking up the stairs, and Stuart was there, and he said, "Well, are you going for it?" I said, "I don't know." He says, "Well, what did they offer you?" I said, 12 million. He said, "Well, you're a fucking idiot then, aren't you?" So I took it. I took it, stuck it for 7 years, and then went back to the dealing room at Barclays and stayed there for 32 and a half years.
Wow. Amazing.
I wish I could have done it a long time ago. We just moved back. I've been back and forth so much that it got to the point I was only coming back to America to prepare to go back to Italy. So I said, that's it.
Yeah.
This year we made the final move and we are living there. I'm here in the States right now for the holidays with my kids, and I had my knee surgery because I love my doctor. But
By the way,
otherwise,
how is the healthcare there? You have all the healthcare now or no in Italy?
I do. I've only been there full time, for the last, I guess, 8 months, but so I haven't really used it much. But I do know that I had gotten quoted $8,000 to get some dental work done after COVID. I had a whole bunch of stuff that needed to be done. I went to Italy and got it done for $1,200, 1,000 euros.
That's worth having a dual citizenship.
Not even having the real health care yet. That was even before.
Wow.
But yes, in fact, we just got a new doctor in our town. And so we've been told everybody has to go sign up with the doctor to be patient. So I'm getting ready to send my stuff in so that when I get back, I have my doctor over there. But yeah, we get, where my husband's a citizen. He was born a citizen. We have a funny story because he was born as his father. We're both of us are first generation. So just by a little teeny bit, I say I was made there, born here, but anyway, his father became an Italian citizen after he was like 6 months old, after so he was born a citizen. He was able to reclaim it. My father became an American citizen just before I was born. So I missed it. So now I have to go by way of my husband. I can go by way of my Sicilian grandfather. Right. But it's, it's further back and it's more work. So this way is easier. I'm already living there. I'm already a resident. So I'm a week or two away. I've been doing it for almost 5 years. I'll tell you what. Yeah. I'm going to say this. If anybody wants to be a citizen and you've got roots, go live over there. It gets done so much faster. You get your residency right away because you're heritage. You can go to your town, say, well, I want to get residency here. You can get your residency. They'll take you because you're from there. You're some lineage. Yeah. Even if you do some extra work, you're going to get it faster than you get it over here.
Yeah. I can't wait.
It was a 3-year roller coaster ride for us.
Where are you guys, Eileen?
We're in Lucca.
Okay, that's right.
In Tuscany, but we did our dual citizenship through the LA consulate because we were living in Arizona.
Eileen, LA is horrible.
No kidding.
It's horrible, right? Am I right or wrong?
Not only is the consulate horrible, the city is horrible.
Exactly. So I'm dealing with them
program.
too. I'm actually having...
beautiful. Eileen, what are you making special for Christmas over there to eat?
This week I'm making panettone. I enjoy making bread. Bread is my thing. So I make New York bagels here for a bunch of our friends.
Start a business.
And this time of year, this week I'm making panettone.
Nice. So a very traditional, and I'm sure you guys that have Barese family. So in the Puglia side, the cartellate, you know what those are? The cartellate, the fried like rosebuds.
Oh, yes.
It's almost like the chiacchiere. It's like that same kind of dough, but you fry them and then they put the rincotto on it or the honey or the fig syrup.
Oh, man, this is going to be a good one.
That's a big thing.
That's
a very big thing in our area and a very big thing in my town for Christmas. Yeah.
Nice.
Wow. So I just want to ask you questions because curious about it because about the citizenship just because I'm in this. I'm about to go. And we're going to go to Sicily for a couple of years. But my son gets it immediately once I have it. Apparently. And it's harder for my wife because her father was from Bari and he had to give it up because he worked for the Defense Department. So she can't even get it. She's going to have to get it through me.
Right.
My son gets it immediately. Once I get it, he gets it immediately. It's interesting.
So like my kids, all they have to do now is go to Italy with a translated apostilled copy of their birth certificate.
Right.
They go to the municipio, to the town hall, and present it. My husband's paperwork's already there. Our marriage certificate is already there. So all they have to do is go present that. It gets sent and comes back and they're citizens. That's it.
Yeah. That's what's going on. It's really, I'm excited. I can't wait.
I'm just missing one document from here.
Bob, you're missing a couple of teeth. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but that too. Wonderful.
Can I say something, please, on this point on the citizenship? Before 1947,
48.
A woman would lose her Italian citizenship if she married a foreigner. So in my case, for example, I couldn't claim an Italian mother for citizenship. That has been contested in court. And if you want to go via a lawyer, there is a certain type of lawyer which specializes in this. And if your parent lost their Italian citizenship, you cannot be blocked from taking up Italian citizenship if you go via that route. I mention it because it might be beneficial to a lot of people, Bob. You could let them know.
Well,
Yeah.
I was eligible through my father up until a few weeks ago, because my grandfather naturalized before my father was 16, and now the Italian government said that transferred to him. But luckily, neither one of my mom's parents naturalized, and I was able to get the document, and the lawyer over there said it's very rare that somebody's lucky and that we're able to get that document that says that they neither one of them were citizens.
I went the easy way for citizenship because I'd been married for over 40 years to an Italian, but I could have claimed citizenship via my mother if I went via a lawyer.
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing. That's the way I'm going. Because
Los
Los Angeles, I would have to go through New York.
And
That's what we did.
whereas
it's
if
funny
you do
because-
it from ancestry, you don't have to be able to speak Italian.
Yeah. Well, my husband, who got the citizenship by birthright, doesn't speak real good Italian.
Yeah.
And I speak it fluently, but I got to take the test.
Did
So,
you?
okay.
No, I didn't
got
have to
lucky.
take the test.
If it was the other way around, he'd probably just live forever as a resident.
I for a while after Brexit, after they voted that referendum, I said, what should I do? What should I do? Should I? Shouldn't I? Shouldn't I? Should? And I said, no, I'll go for citizenship. I claimed it. I got it in 2 years, which was the going rate at the time. Well, just less than 2 years, about 18 months.
Do you have a history
Yeah,
lesson? Do
how
you have
it's
to have a
fun,
history
yeah.
lesson or any other sort of tests for citizenship?
No, the language at B2, which isn't that hard.
But I think,
Mark-
not that I'm going to be citizens of Spain, but I think if you want to do in
Big
Spain,
one.
you have to know the history. You have a history test. And I think in the UK, if you come here and you want to be a citizen, you have a history test as well. And of course,
Well,
that'll be going to be a big test because we've got a fair bit of that.
Well, I would probably fail, wouldn't I? Because I didn't do history at school.
Me too.
I did
Me
Latin
too.
instead.
Well, it's funny because in America, you go, 12 years of school, say, till high school, and you spend like 10 and a half of those studying American history. Spend all that time studying 200 years. And we take
200.
like 1 year of world history. I'm in Italy right now learning. I am like a sponge over there. I'm learning everything. I'm learning history. I'm
in
learning.
Italy is
I'm
incredible.
adding to my vocabulary words that weren't in my vocabulary, even though I have a pretty good one. I am just sucking it all up, and I am so enjoying it.
Every
love it.
day is a learning lesson here.
Isn't it?
Yep.
And it, like, I remember the first time I did a tour of my town, the first group I took over there, and I'm just walking around. I'm just showing them the things I know how to show them. And luckily, this one girl in town who's like a walking encyclopedia happened passing just as I was starting. She's like, "Oh, what are you doing? Who are these people?" And I said, "Oh, I'm taking them on a little tour." "Oh, did you know this? And did you know that?" I said, "No, you want to walk with us?" I'm talking to her in Italian. They don't understand. So she walked with us, and I got the whole history of town. Like day one, I was like so excited. But
Wow.
it's fascinating because
Good story.
every little town in Italy has so much story, so much history.
Absolutely.
When I bring people there and I tell them that there's something, the people who are of heritage of the town who come, and, there's something about standing on the ground where you're from. It's like every time I used to go, my feet would just grow roots. And I would feel like I feel so comfortable here. It's like getting into the warm bed that's comfy. I belonged. Nobody asked why my 5 boys' names end in O. Nobody asked me how to spell my name. All this kind of stuff. They can pronounce it. It's a beautiful thing. And when I've taken now 24 groups of people, and I would say more than half of them have been of heritage of the town. I just took a group of 17, all one family. Amazing. But
Wow.
they were people whose like parents or grandparents left and never came back. And then they're coming back as the kids and the grandkids, and they're all crying. There's a feeling, and they feel such a connection. There is something about, like, when I moved to New Jersey I grew up in Washington. When I moved to New Jersey, and I'm like, oh, there's all these Italians around. I was so excited. And I'm meeting all these people, and like, oh, you go to Italy. I said, we've been to Italy. I said, oh, where'd you go? Venice, Florence, Rome, or the typical stuff. And I'm like, where are you from? Naples. I said, Naples, or like a town? oh, I don't know, some little town in the mountains. I'm like, wait, you went to Italy and you didn't go where you're from? You don't know what it's called? And to me, that was, again, almost like that to my 10-year-old self. And so I'm like, you got to go where you're from. If you get one trip to Italy, the Vatican's awesome, but forget the Vatican, forget Florence, forget the Duomo, forget that stuff. Go to where you're from, seek out your history, because every single town has Roman. There's a stone in my town, a cornerstone in our archway that goes into our old piazza that is from like before 900 AD. And it's Roman writing on it. So it's from Roman times. There's an amphitheater half an hour from my house that is older than the Colosseum in Rome. That town, that little city, Lucera, is older than Rome. So tell me that Rome is the only place to go see history? Yes, it's beautiful. I love it. It's beautiful. But go to where you're from and find your history and how your history connects to all that big history that everybody in the world knows about, It's way more.
What was special for us is we went to Gary's
to go and see.
Grandfather.
I've a friend who's a tourist guide, and she took us to Piazza Duomo in Como once, and she pointed out all the different styles of architecture. It's quite the cathedral, the Duomo is quite beautiful, but the square is quite small. And she pointed out 7 different types of architecture in that square.
No, it's all of Italy is beautiful. And I tell people that, call me and they want to go do something. And I'm taking them to
20 villages on hilltops.
Yeah. And I take them to a peasant village on a hilltop. And they're like, but, my friends went to Amalfi and showed me all these great pictures. And I'm like, do you want to go home with the same pictures? I said, there's so many more pictures to take, to beautiful things to see. And I encourage you, go there for a holiday, go there for a feast. I take all my groups over some feast or festival so you can see the natural, real things that the traditions we still keep up, Mm-hmm. I missed out on, I left there, I guess it's been 2-3 weeks now, and I'm dying. There's been so many things going on. I'm like on the phone watching everything. I'm like, oh, I'm not there. I'd much rather be there than sitting here right now.
Christmas markets are all going on.
I know. Oh,
it's just wonderful.
Yeah,
it's really wonderful. And right now on our main shopping street in Lucca, it almost looks like Valentine's Day.
Oh, nice.
It's beautiful. It's really beautiful.
The shops are in a sea of red because, you buy red underwear for New Year's to wear on New Year's. A superstition that Italians are known.
I was going to say,
Gary, is that true? You wear red underwear?
And you have to wear.
Yes.
Come
Would
on,
you like
Gary.
to see them?
I'd like to see what's going on, Gary, with that. Come on now.
Because it brings you good luck. So right now, it's festive in red, but a lot of the shops are all in red. It looks like Valentine's.
Well, so does eating lentils. Not as not as red underwear, but
no, but it's
a good luck.
After midnight, it's got to be in the new year.
Well, you know why lentils? You know why lentils though? Is because they're
the shape of a coin.
Shape of a coin. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Eileen, I'll come see you. Eileen, I'll come see you. You come see me in Roseto.
Okay, that's a deal.
And just to follow up on what Dorina said, I think the thing that when we went to one of the hometowns, I think the thing that struck me more than anything else was when they laid out the spread. We were outside the building, and they laid out the spread. Everything, there was nothing that was store bought. Everything was made by them, and they were amazed that I was amazed. They were like so matter of fact about it. Doesn't everybody do this? And I said, not in America. Everything's wrapped in plastic.
Everything's from China.
Costco. I always took homemade stuff to my kids' schools. Luckily, because there came a point where they stopped allowing homemade cupcakes for kids' birthdays. But thank God I'm a chef and I have my own business. So all I had to do was put the ingredients on. I can still make the homemade stuff for my kids. But it's sad because we are so over sanitized, over deodorized, over cleansed, and we're the sickest, How about let's just have some real stuff and a little bit of dirt and we're all clean and healthy and dirty and healthy.
Yeah.
Diet.
Yeah.
Exactly. So before we wrap up, so Dorina, how do people get in touch with you if they want to get the recipes or if they want to do a trip like that?
Well, all my contact info is on my website, dorinaskitchen.com, which I snuck in under my name there. Also, I mean, if you just Google Dorina's Kitchen, you'll find my Facebook, my YouTube channel, my Instagram, everything. So I'm pretty much out there. It's easy to find me. So,
And Eileen and Gary, you have a couple of books out there. So why don't you tell us about the books?
I'd like to know about that.
Well, we have 3 books out there now. The first one is Our Italian Journey, which was 2019, right after we got our citizenship. We promised each other a trip through Italy. Our second book is about our love, Luca. And the third book is about 31 towns in Tuscany.
Completely different.
You've got, Rome, not Rome. You've got Florence, you've got Luca, you've got the big names.
We took 31.
But then we went to some hill towns also.
31
So
flavors.
the other 2 are memoirs. The guidebook was just a complete kind of, let's throw it out there. It's our love, and let's put a twist on it and put some festivals in and how to get there and what you could eat and what wines you can find, something different.
Congratulations. That's wonderful, guys.
Get those.
And Michael's
The-
famous
the-
for all kinds of things. He's got
I'm not-
movies,
yeah,
he's
don't even
got
talk about me.
websites, he's got-
No, don't worry about me. The one
you don't have to.
I
I'll talk about you. You don't have to talk about you.
just what Eileen, did you ever go to what's the town? It's in my God, my brain has gone crazy. I'll remember it, then you'll be off. But go to Andrew, and then I'll try to remember.
So Andrew's he's a world traveler. Every time I look, he's in a sunny place. He's either in Florida, he's in Spain, he's in Italy, he's every place. But
Yeah. I like the heat, don't like the cold.
I agree.
Well, there's something to be said for when it's cold, we can go skiing.
Not
No,
anymore.
that's why I'm sitting here with this knee replacement. Please.
No, I'm in Como on the lake.
because we're gonna be up there in May, so I'll let you know. Maybe we get Andy to come over.
Yeah, in fact, guys, when I saw that before, I said, "Yeah, it looks like Andy, you got to come to Milan in May."
Eileen,
The journey from Milan to Como is quite easy. There are 2 different train routes. The fast train is about 35 minutes. The slow one's an hour,
That's good.
roughly.
No, it's pretty easy. I did it a lot, didn't I, when I had my place there?
It takes an hour to get from Queens to Manhattan now, so that's nothing.
Civita Bonareggio. Now you're going to
Nope,
go find
we're
a
familiar
place you
with it.
never.
Write it down. We got to check it.
Vita.
It's in Tuscany.
It's outside of Umbria, actually. Not far. Civita
The next
Bonareggio.
book. It's the next book.
Yeah.
The next
or Vieto.
book,
No, but
Next
I'm just
one.
saying it's an incredible place because right from Rome, you go to
Okay.
Orvieto, you go to Civita Bonareggio. I've been all over Tuscany, but it's an incredible little town. It's a town in the air, it's called. It's beautiful. Stunning.
Oh, okay.
I got it written down.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Buon Natale.
Buon
Buon Natale.
Buddy.
Buon Natale tutti. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Natale.
Bye, Jerry.
Don't
Bye,
forget-
Bob.